It's 2:37 a.m. You're still scrolling. Another matte black supercar glowing under streetlights. Another minimalist penthouse with a skyline you've only seen in movies. Another person your age stepping off a Gulf Stream like it's a taxi. Your thumb stops, and suddenly it hits you. It's not envy, it's something colder. It's a quiet, sinking realization that your own life is falling behind, because what you're seeing doesn't look like luxury anymore. It just looks like the new normal. The designer everything, the endless travel, the effortless aesthetic. It all looks so easy, so achievable, so expected. And the longer you watch, the more it starts to feel like you're the only one not living like this. Not angry, not even jealous, just quietly behind. And deep down, there's a question you can't shake. How is everyone doing this? There was a time when wealth felt different. It was quiet, private, almost invisible. Back then, money wasn't something you performed. It was something you built, slowly, over years of boring decisions, steady investments, living below your means, letting time do the heavy lifting. Success was measured locally. If your neighbor upgraded to a new sedan, or added a fresh coat of paint to the house, that was a benchmark. Comparison stayed grounded, tangible, and human. That world is gone. We've replaced quiet wealth with loud performance. The old neighborhood benchmark has been obliterated. You're no longer sizing yourself up against the guy next door. Instead, you're comparing your ordinary Tuesday morning to a 26-year-old crypto millionaire posing in a Dubai penthouse, or a 24-year-old influencer stepping onto a private jet in Ibiza. Your reference point has leaped from the street outside your window to the filtered, high-definition lives of the global top 0.1%. This massive shift in scale has created something dangerous: luxury poverty. Luxury poverty is the modern art of looking rich while being financially fragile. It's the $1,200 flagship phone clutched by someone with $12 in their savings, the designer watch on the wrist of a guy who's one missed paycheck from collapse. It's an entire life built on a house of cards, financed by credit cards, buy now, pay later schemes, and high-interest loans dressed up as lifestyle. In the digital age, we've stopped chasing real stability. We chase the aesthetic of success instead, because in the attention economy, looking wealthy has become its own form of currency. Post the right photos, create the right vibe, and people assume you've made it. Skip the performance, and you disappear. The emotional cost is brutal. Every scroll floods you with villas, supercars, and first-class escapes. It plants a quiet, persistent sting. Soon you're asking the most toxic question of our time. Why does everyone else have more than me? You start to feel like you're failing at a game that looks effortless for everyone else. But here's what the algorithm will never show you. You're not seeing their bank accounts. You're seeing their marketing department. We are drowning in mass-produced envy. We've become so obsessed with winning the status game on screens that we've forgotten how to win the real money game in life. We trade future freedom for temporary flexes, terrified of being the only ones who will still look normal in a world that's pretending to be elite. The result is a generation that is rich in photos but bankrupt in reality. They have the shoes, they have the clothes, they have the perfect lifestyle shots. What they don't have is peace of mind. They've mastered the look, but they're quietly losing the war for their own freedom. The digital world doesn't just encourage fake richness, it actively engineers it. Social media algorithms are precision machines designed to reward aspiration, not truth. A calm video explaining compound interest and index funds? It dies in the feed, but the same person stepping out of a lime green Lamborghini in front of a private jet? That explodes. The algorithm knows exactly what triggers us: status, envy, and visual dopamine. It rewards the spectacle, not the substance. To feed this hunger, an entire ecosystem of illusion has been built. Welcome to the era of the fractional flex. First, there's buy now, pay later. Services like Klarna and Afterpay didn't just change how we buy cars or homes, algorithms, they changed how we buy everything. Now, people split sneakers, skincare, and even Sunday brunch into 4 painless payments. A $200 impulse suddenly feels like $50. It's debt disguised as convenience, turning everyday consumption into a lifestyle you can't actually afford. Then comes the rental illusion. In Los Angeles, Miami, or Dubai, you no longer need to own luxury, you can simply rent it by the hour. Book a Lamborghini for a 60-minute photo shoot. Rent a content studio styled exactly like the inside of a Gulfstream. For a few $100s, anyone can generate months of content that screams multimillionaire. The reality? A sterile warehouse room and a rented car. The output? A perfectly deceptive highlight reel. This creates a deadly feedback loop. You post the flex, you get the likes, comments, and validation. Dopamine hits hard. To keep the high going, you need a bigger flex, which requires more spending, which means more debt. The real tragedy? The actual behaviors that build real wealth, living below your means, aggressive saving, delayed gratification, are completely unpostable. There's no sexy visual for quietly maxing out your retirement account. No aesthetic for driving an old reliable car or cooking meals at home. These habits get zero reach, zero likes, zero validation. So the algorithm punishes the very things that would save you. Instead, it rewards burning capital for attention rather than investing it for freedom. We've reached a point where maintaining the digital mask of wealth costs more than most people underneath it can actually handle. The result is a generation that looks aesthetically rich, but is fundamentally hollowed out. Building a life that only looks rich eventually falls apart. The fake rich lifestyle may seem perfect online, but behind the scenes, it's held together by stress, pressure, and constant pretending. The first thing to break is your financial stability. When you care more about appearing wealthy than actually being secure, you end up stuck in a fragile situation where everything can collapse at any moment. We are seeing a rise in high-income earners who are functionally broke, individuals making 6 figures but living paycheck to paycheck because their overhead is designed for an audience, not for their future. This is the crushing weight of high-interest debt that never makes it into the Instagram caption. It's the constant low-level hum of anxiety that comes from knowing you are exactly 1 car breakdown, 1 medical emergency, or 1 algorithm shift away from total collapse. When your entire identity is tied to a lifestyle you can't actually afford, an emergency isn't just a financial setback, it's an existential threat to the character you've created. But the financial damage is only the beginning. The psychological toll is arguably more corrosive. When you spend your life performing wealth, your self-worth becomes entirely externalized. You start to believe that you are only as valuable as your last flex. This creates a distorted reality where you can no longer distinguish between who you actually are and the digital avatar you're maintaining. The result is a constant, exhausting state of comparison. Because you know your own wealth is a performance, you assume everyone else's is real, leading to a comparison trap that never ends. You're racing against people who are also faking it, creating a cycle of mutual envy where no one actually wins. This leads to a specific kind of modern burnout, the exhaustion of trying to look like you aren't exhausted. Finally, there's the social damage. This culture of performance is the death of honest conversation. Money has always been a taboo subject, but the fake rich era has made it impossible to be vulnerable about financial struggle. When everyone is pretending to be a mogul, no one can admit they're struggling with rent. Relationships become shallow and transactional. Friends stop being a support system and start being extras in each other's content. Conversations about money shift from "how do we build a future" to "how do we look like we've already arrived?" This silence creates a profound sense of isolation. You feel alone in your debt, alone in your anxiety, and alone in your struggle, simply because you're surrounded by people who are too terrified to drop the mask. Ultimately, the cost of looking rich is the very thing that could actually make you wealthy: your peace of mind, your authentic connections, and your financial freedom. We are trading our real lives for a digital ghost of success, forgetting that a life well lived is measured by the stability of your foundation, not the height of your pedestal. In the end, the most expensive thing you can ever own is a lifestyle that doesn't belong to you.